Hello everyone, good morning. My name is Jomari A. Katindig, and for today's for today's discussion, I am going to report about the topic Republic Act 544. Actually, this topic is a continuation na lang sa report ni Lucky J. Chu and Rafi J. Anyo. Let's start. This subject is PCE 342 CE laws, ethics and contracts. Topic, Republic Act 544. So, ano next? Republic Act 544, it is an act um, professionalizing the practice of civil engineering in the Philippines. Article 4. So, di na mag-start. Kay continuation lang mo siya. So, Article 4, it is the miscellaneous provisions. So in Article 4, there are five sections under. Section 27 to 31. So Section 27, it is the preparation of plans and supervisions of construction by registered civil engineer. Section 28, it is the individual and personal qualifications. Section 29, partnership and corporations engage in civil engineering and multidisciplinary consultancy. Section 30, practice of profession by foreign nationals. Section 31 is the roster of civil engineers. So next, Section 27, it states that it shall be unlawful for any person to order or otherwise cause the construction, reconstruction, or alteration of any building or structure intended for public gathering or assembly such as theaters, cinematographs, stadia, churches, or structures of like nature, and any other engineering structures mentioned in Section 2 of this Act, unless the designs, plans, and specifications of same have been prepared under the responsible charge of and signed and sealed by a registered civil engineer, and idealist the construction, reconstruction, and or alteration thereof are executed under the responsible charge and direct supervisions of registered civil engineer. Plans and designs of structures must be approved as provided by law or ordinance of municipality, city, or province where the said structure is to be constructed. So next is Section 28. So Section 28 is the practice of civil engineering is a professional service admission to which must be determined upon individual personal qualification. Next is Section 29. A sole proprietorship, partnership, or corporation may engage in providing consultancy services as defined in the National Economic Development Authority or NEDA guidelines for engagement of consultancy in the field of civil engineering, provided that such an entity is owned and controlled by duly registered civil engineers, and provided that such sole proprietorship, partnership, or corporation has been issued a certificate of registration by the board. As, as a sole proprietorship, partnership, or corporation engaged in providing consultancy services in the field of civil engineering may further offer and engage in providing multidisciplinary consultancy services, provided that such professions are closely related to or allied with civil engineering or incidental and indispensable to the practice thereof. Individual members of such sole proprietorship, partnership, or corporation shall be responsible for their own respective professional acts. Next is Section 30. So all foreign nationals, including former Filipino citizens desiring to practice the civil engineering in the Philippines and are authorized by the law to practice civil engineering in the Philippines shall apply for special temporary permit from the board subject to approval of the Commission. In accordance with the provision of Section 7 of Republic Act number 8981, except for cases where the foreign national has already been issued a special temporary permit and permit the agencies, organizations, or individuals, whether public or private, who secure the services of foreign national authorized by the law to practice civil engineering in the Philippines shall be responsible for securing a special temporary permit from the board subject to the approval of the Commission. No working permit, temporary or permanent, shall be issued by any government agency to foreign national intending to practice civil engineering in the Philippines without complying this provision. So, addition. So, a foreign civil engineer or any person not authorized to practice civil engineering in the Philippines or foreign civil engineer authorized to practice civil engineering in the Philippines but has not been issued a special temporary permit from the board who shall stay in the country and perform any of the activities mentioned in the section 2 of this act or any other activity analogous thereto shall deem engage in an authorized practice of civil engineering. So kung naay mag-apply og mga kung gusto mag civil engineer digi sa Pilipinas pero taga ibang bansa siya or foreign nationals siya is kailangan nila magkuha og permit accordance sa commission and commission commission on board para kung halimbawa mag-practice sila mag-practice sila civil engineer sa Philippines na without permit is pwede sila maka-violate og law. Next is section 31, a roster showing the names and places of business of all registered civil engineers shall be periodically prepared by the commission through the board. Copies of this roster shall be placed filed with the PICE and furnished to such government entities or agencies and municipal, city, and provincial authorities as may deem necessary and to public upon request. Next is the Article 5. Article 5 is the enforcement of act and penal provisions. So in Article 5, there are 8 sections on it. So section 32 to 39. So section 32 is the enforcement of the act by officers of the law. Section 33, registration required. Section 34, requirement for a written service agreement, appointment, or employment contract. Section 35, positions in government requiring the services of civil engineer. Then section 36, it's the penal provisions. Section 37, the repel. Section 38 is the separability clause. And section 39 is the effectivity. So next is the section 32. Section 32 states that it shall be the duty of all the duly constituted law officers of the national, provincial, city, and municipal governments or any political subdivisions thereof to enforce the provisions of this act and to prosecute any person violating same. So ang may karapatan na mag-punish or punish na sa mga professions or civil engineer professions na mag-violate sa law is ang national, provincial, and city or municipal government. Sila po ang may karapatan na mag-enforce sa ingani ng mga law. So next is Section 33. So no person, sole proprietorship, partnership, or corporation shall practice or offer to practice civil engineering or engage or offer to engage in providing civil engineering consultancy services in the Philippines without having obtained the proper certificate registration from the board. So dili pwede maghatag og mga dili pwede mag-practice ang isa ka civil engineer or partnership corporation or sole proprietorship pag wala siya a proper certificate um, of registration na galing sa Board of Commission. So dili siya pwede mag practice kay dili tawagan ha ma-violate nila ang law or Public Act 544. So next is Section 34. Any person or entity, whether private or public, Filipino or foreign, who shall entice, compel, coerce, require, or otherwise cause a duly registered civil engineer to perform or undertake any civil engineering work or professional service without first executing a written service agreement, appointment, or employment contract shall be deemed guilty of violation of this act. So again, kung next is Section 35. Within 6 months from the effectivity of this act, all existing and proposed positions in the local and national government offices, whether appointive, career, permanent, temporary, or contractual, and primarily requiring the services of civil engineer, whether or not using that designation shall be filled only by registered civil engineers who are members in good standing of the PICE. So next is Section 36. So Section 36 is any person who shall practice or offer to practice civil engineering in the Philippines without being registered in accordance with the provisions of this act, or any person presenting or attempting to use as his or her own certificate of registration, professional identification card of registered civil engineer, or any person who shall give any false or forged evidence of any kind to the board, or any person who shall impersonate any registered civil engineer of different name, or any person who shall attempt to use as a revoked or suspended certificate of registration, professional identification card, or any person who shall use in connection with his name or otherwise assume, use, or advertise any title or description tending to convey the impression that he or she a civil engineer. Addition, without holding a valid certificate of registration, or any head of government agency or officer of a private firm or institution who fails to secure a special temporary permit from the board subject to approval of the commission prior to engaging the services of a foreign national to practice civil engineering under the employ or engagement by the agency, firm, or institution, unless such foreign national has already been issued a special temporary permit, or foreign nationals who engage in the practice of civil engineering in the Philippines without the benefit of a special temporary permit, or any person, partnership, or officers of corporation who shall violate Section 31 or any of the provisions of this act, implementing rules and regulations shall be guilty of a misdemeanor, and shall, upon conviction, be sentenced to a fine if not less than 100,000 pesos nor more than 1 million pesos, or to suffer imprisonment for a period of not less than 6 months nor more than 3 years, or both at the discretion of the COIT. For foreign nationals who have engaged in the practice of civil engineering in the Philippines without the benefit of special temporary permit shall also be subject to deportation. So kung mag-violate ang isa ka civil engineer na professional is sa katong, for example, atong mga above mentions na mga violations, which is katong mag-forge ka, kung peke imong mga ID na ginapakita, is pwede ka makasuhan and magbayad og 100 to 1 million pesos, and or mag-suffer of imprisonment. Pwede ka makulong up to 6 months to 3 years. And kung halimbawa is ang madakpan na mag-violate is a foreign national, um, na civil engineer. So ang mahimo saya is pwede siya magbayad siya og 100,000 to 1 million, or makulong siya within 6 to 3 years, or pwede siya ipa-deport, wait, or ipa-deport siya so kung asa siya nanggaling na country. So mao to ang section 36. So section 37, all laws, part of laws, orders or ordinances or regulations in conflict with the provisions of this act are hereby repealed. No laws of other allied professions shall limit the scope of the practice of civil engineering, nor shall include the civil engineer from practicing his or own profession as defined in the act, provided that he or she does not designate him or herself as such as other professional. Nothing in this act would likewise limit the other professionals from practicing their own respective professions, provided that such professionals does not designate him or herself as civil engineer. So, motto. Section 38, if any part of section of this act shall be declared unconstitutional, such declaration shall not invalidate the other provisions thereof. So last is the section 39. This act shall take effect upon its approval. So that would be all. Once again, my name is Jamari Ekatindig. Thank you for listening and good day. Ina.